It Must Be Jelly Because Jam Don't Shake and End of Life coming at you right now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Day 2 or Day 3, Match 3 of the Alliance Tournament. I am moderator, joined by Elise Randolph, and today we've got End of Life against It Must Be Jelly Because Jam Doesn't Shake. End of Life choosing to bring a drone composition, a bit lighter than Jam, but they've come with an Eos, a Oneros, a Myrmidon, a pair of Ishtars, a pair of Vexor Navy issues, a Hyena, and a pair of regular Vexors.
All right, and It Must Be Jelly Because Jam Don't Shake in red here have brought double Dominixes on the beacon at 0. I repeat, double Dominixes are cited in the Alliance Tournament with a Myrmidon, Rapier, Vexor Navy issue, Hyena, and double Vexors as well. So a lot of control from the red side over here, from the Rapier and the Hyena, a lot of long-range webs. Looks like they're probably going to want to go for the end-of-life Oneros first. At least that's what I would go for, but you know, maybe they'll do something else here.
Yeah, we're seeing target painters from End of Life go on top of that long-named Jam Jelly Oneros, and webs on top of him, so that will be the primary of End of Life. Interestingly enough, It Must Be Jelly Because Jam Doesn't Shake coming in with a 9-man comp, but they're already getting webs on top of that Hyena, and a Hyena is much less tanky than that Rapier.
Yep, and End of Life have countered by going for the It Must Be Jelly Because Jam Don't Shake Oneros, which is painted and webbed by this End of Life Hyena. I mean, if this Hyena can live a little bit longer, obviously it would be a fantastic trade for End of Life if they can, but it looks like their Hyena is getting zonked really, really hard right now. He's just entering structure. He's just barely holding on right now.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused that we're seeing tracking disruption on top of that Hyena, but somehow the Hyena is burning a bit and popping up in reps. However, the Oneros of Cold Glory for It Must Be Jelly dropping off the field, rather significant points loss this early, and Jam not really having anything to show for it.
Yeah, they went all in on this Hyena, and this Hyena just said, you know what, screw you. Actually, I mean, they're splitting damage a little bit between the Hyena and the Vexor. They finally got hard Karn down in the Vexor, and finally outback Ozeron in the Hyena, but you know, End of Life trading a Hyena and a Vexor for the enemy Oneros, that is a really, really good trade. However, the Dominixes on the red side have grappled, nuded, and scrammed the Oneros of End of Life. I don't know how, I'm not quite sure how an Oneros gets run down by a Dominix, but it happened, and looks like the Logi trade is going to end up going one way here.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see if those Dominixes got a micro jump drive on top of the Oneros. I have to assume that's what happened because I don't see any of the way that the Ishtars and the Vexor Navy issues would have let them come in on top of the Oneros at 0. But at any rate, it doesn't change the fact that Scipio Artelis is dropping down into hull and will die here.
All right, so it's anyone's game pretty much right now. Both Logis down on either side. A Myrmidon getting zonked through armor right now. On the Must Be Jelly side, those are the links for the entire red team. That's going to make every ship a little bit weaker and a little bit easier to chew through. So great target calling on this End of Life side. And we see this End of Life Vexor with a host of control all over him. A target painter, a nude, a grapple, a target tracking disruptor, and another target painter for good measure, because why not?
Yeah, Blacklist Vexor is going to be the new primary. He was unfortunately right on top of the Oneros that recently died at 0, so it was a rather easy transition for these Dominixes to get their grapplers and webs on top of him at 0, and the newts will shut down any sort of hardeners or propulsion he had. He's dropping now down into hull at the same time that Sarah Kerbal is also dropping, and they both die in the same server tick.
Yeah, so everything is dying really quickly. This is just a death ball right in the upper left quadrant of the arena where everyone seems to be clustered around, and these drone swarms are going after one another. You do see some tracking disruptors applied to the red team. They're not going to be doing all that much, but you know what? You figure you bring your mid slots, you pack them full of tracking disruptors, it'd be a shame not to use them. And this Vexor Navy issue belonging to Alfred is webbed by this Rapier, and the target painted, and he is the new primary. End of Life really have to get this Rapier down, but I don't think they can apply damage to it. Baliak is actually flying really, really well over here, just skirting outside in the back, out of block range from some of these Ishtars, and the Vexor Navy issue as well.
right now we're seeing an actual cloud of rep drones on top of Earnsmith, Kittrick, and his Dominics. So interestingly to note, both these Dominics are running smart bombs, and right now It Must Be Jelly only has 2 DPS ships in those Dominics as well. End of Life have a total of 5 or 6 really, once Alfred drops in his Vexor Navy issue, which he now does. So those Dominics were running smart bombs, but it wasn't enough to clear the drone cloud in time for Ernst to save himself, and Jovian is going to look to be the new primary for End of Life, who are in a commanding position right now.
Yep, End of Life, I don't know. I think it can go either way. Well, this Dominix is not that tanky at all. We do see Jovian, as you said, starting to smart bomb off these Berserkers, but these Berserkers are pretty much full health right now. They're out of shields, but that's about it. Really good drone management on the side of the End of Life side. Able to keep these drones alive, or perhaps the Jovian's Dominix doesn't have a super big smart bomb like we saw in the previous match, which was a Flag Balgorn. You know, they get the 9-kilometer super smart bombs, and Dominixes just have to go with the plebeian smart bombs because they are not flagships. But this Dominix going to Jovian is going down here. Damage has slowed a little bit, but only because there's a new flight of drones heading towards him, as it looks like the End of Life team are pulling drones away and then putting them right back on the target. And you can see that working very effectively as Jovian dies, leaving just a Rapier and Hyena to finish off the rest of the End of Life team. So, maybe they can fight it out. No, definitely not.
Yeah, End of Life just having a lot more damage towards the end of that setup. It Must Be Jelly, because Jam Doesn't Shake actually came in with a 9-man setup, investing a lot of points into that Dominix dual core, and End of Life just had the equivalent DPS in even a pair of Vexor Navy issues or Ishtars, and they were able to fill out the core with a lot more drone ships, and they were able to just win the DPS race that way. Well played by them so far. They'll be advancing into the next round of the lower bracket, and we'll have to bid adieu to It Must Be Jelly.
Yeah, it's sad to see It Must Be Jelly because Jam Don't Shake go, because they've got probably the best name in the tournament, and they did come into this match with a really good game plan. They took the Dominixes with smart bombs to kill drones. They knew what to expect, but unfortunately their smart bombs couldn't get it off. Great piloting by the Dominixes to catch the enemy Neros. That doesn't happen every day, but at the end of the day, just wasn't enough. That is it. End of Life takes this 140. That is it for Moderator and I. We're going to send it back to Apothony in the studio.
We've got the Kings of Losec with Project Mayhem.
Hey everyone, welcome back after another fantastic match there. Kind of a weird drone mirror undermanned Dommy with Rapier, but before we talk about that or even go into the next match, we have to talk to the fantastic man joining us here on the desk. It is Daniel, who's the manager of the Alt Lounge. Now this is where we are hosting our viewing party tomorrow, so you should totally come down to Nottingham and hang out there. So why don't you just, Daniel, tell us a little bit about the Alt Lounge, like when was it founded, what is the Alt Lounge?
So, Old Gaming Lounge is situated on George Street, which is just around the corner from the Lace Market tram stop. So it's just down the road from you guys.
Yep.
We are a gaming lounge. We've been there about a year, and we are what you would class as a gamer's social heaven. If you can imagine coming down, we would walk you around our retro lounge, which has got everything from your old gen nostalgia, the Mega Drives, the 360s, everything you want to play there.
I was playing some Spyro there last weekend.
Yep.
Nice.
Glad you enjoyed it. We also have a full projector that can stream all our kit from the main arena. We have a purpose-built VR area that's got the HTC Vive, PlayStation 4 VR that you can experience there as well. And that's not the last of it. We also have a purpose-built 32-station gaming rig, Xbox One, PS4 setup as well that we like to run a lot of tournaments from. You can also come down and experience day to day and play on lots and lots of games there.
Now, I know that you guys also serve refreshments, as Nash Cadaver was, well, he didn't look good this morning, did he? What kind of refreshments do you serve for people to come down?
We have a fully licensed bar, so you can come down and have a beer with us. You can actually bring them to the rigs as well, so if you don't want to spill anything on your own rigs, come down, join us. We also have a full menu as well. We have snacks if you don't want something full, but we have a full kitchen there, so you can come down and have something to eat with us as well.
Fantastic, so it's like a full day out of gaming with your friends.
It is.
You said you had something a little bit special for the viewers of the Alliance tournament.
Yeah, obviously, listening to me, I could talk about it forever. I absolutely love the place, but you've got to come down and experience it for yourselves. So for you viewers, if you come down and quote EVENT, we'll happily give you 2 hours on the arena on us, just so you can actually experience it for us.
It was really fantastic. I remember we went there last weekend before we did the second day, and I started playing some StarCraft 2, and then Reload came over, and I kind of looked around, and I'm playing StarCraft with like a bunch of guys around me, which is very different to like being at home when you've got guys cheering you on and chatting to you. That's so adding that social element to it when it's real life is absolutely fantastic. So absolutely, guys, come on down to the Alt Lounge tomorrow for the viewing party. Quote it was the Eve NT for your 2 free hours on the gaming rig station, and then just have a great time. It's a really fantastic place. We'll all be hanging out there as well in our breaks whenever we can. It'll be a fantastic time. So do come out. And if you are a resident in or around Nottingham regularly, you should totally be making it your go-to weekend hangout as well, I think.
Please check out our social. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. We don't just do day-to-day, we do a lot of events and tournaments as well. So come and check it out, have a look. You'll be able to find us on there and see what we do.
Fantastic. So we have actually a fair bit of time before the next match. So let's talk very briefly about what went on in the match we just saw. Undermanned Dominixes with a Rapier is a comp that was designed and brought in this year's AT. Suetonia, tell me a little about the Rapier as an Alliance tournament ship.
Oh, the only reason you'd run a Rapier of a Hugin, which is the other Minotaur Ryukin, is if you wanted to run Rapid Lights. However, that Rapier didn't have any Rapid Lights, so I don't know why they brought it over the Hugin. The Hugin was not banned, and the Hugin has better stats, has better fitting, it's faster, it's harder to jam. So I'm not sure why they bought the Rapier. Obviously, the Rapier pilot did have a skin, so maybe that was the only skin he had, and he just wanted to bring that ship.
Bring that swag factor in. Reload, what were your thoughts on that fight? Did you pick out anything nice, or was it just a bit of a mess?
The Dominics, obviously at the end it was just the Dominics and a bit of the support from Jelly, but the Dominics did actually have smart bombs, so they did actually think through that they may potentially go against another drone comp. But the thing is, the Dominics is what they needed to do is they needed to brawl into each other to combine the smart bomb damage, because what was happening was that the Dominics are split up, and so their smart bomb damage was only a single Dominix instead of 2 Dominics. You can remember got that AoE blast, which means that it'll affect all the drones all around them, and you have 2 Dominics, that's double the damage.
Well, we do have another lovely graph coming up. We have the graph of boundary violations coming up here. We have 9 boundary violations in the match between Goonswarm Federation versus the Ronin, as when all their drones were dead, they just gave up on the match and boundary violated. After that, we had a boundary violation in Exodus versus We Want Your ISK. We had a boundary violation in Rokapel versus Rejection of Sovereignty, where they MJD'd their Golem out of the arena as far as they possibly could, going for the record. I don't know if they got it. PFR versus Ghost Legion, a Bandit Part versus Slice, No Handlebars versus Bright Side of Death, and we are yet to have others. However, Pandemic Legion has only played 2 matches so far, so I'm sure we are in for more in the future.
Absolutely.
Now, if I might return to you, Sir Daniel, for a little bit, I want to ask you, how did you get into the Alt Lounge at the beginning? Had you run a previous one before? Was it kind of your idea? Who were you working with? Like, what inspired you to open this venue and start this arena for gamers?
So it was built up from my other co-worker, Connick McFarlane. He had a dream of creating that social heaven for gamers to come and meet and create that community. He built that up a year ago. I came in 6 months down the line to support him operationally wise, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
As we've got everything you need for a gamer, everything you need to do community stuff, and just to have a nice time
What
together.
kind of tournaments have you run? Like, what can you tell us a little about some of the big events that you've had on?
Yep, so we've got a really big one coming up just in the middle of August, the 19th of August. We're going to hold a professional Gears of War 4 tournament with a prize pool of £4,000. Tickets are available on Eventim, so please check out Eventim. We've held fight nights. We did a Tekken 7 launch party where you had a chance to win copies of the game, and also some prizes along the lines of those ones. There's lots and lots and lots. I could reel them off forever. But
I won't force you to do that.
yep. We've also got a great Rapture party if you've got any Bioshock fans out there.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do a 3-course banquet, bring
Oh, wow.
some Big Daddy cosplay down, and there's tickets available for that one as well.
So you've got all the different aspects of Nerdvana going
Yep.
on there. You've got the cosplay, you've got like the meals going on, you've
Yep.
got all the different game stations, old
Yep.
to new. Like, can I move in? Like,
You
can I just
can.
like, can I just like have a flat above, or maybe just like under a desk somewhere?
Well, we
That'd be
might
pretty great.
have to create a hotel then, won't we?
Now, can I buy into this idea? I think we're onto a winner here. The old
Or
hotel.
I might have
Where-
to copyright that one.
Yes, you will, certainly. Right, we must talk about the next match as much as I'd like to talk about old video games. We have, however, our own video game tournament going on. And again, do come down to Alt Lounge tomorrow to come hang out with us as we watch the fourth day even of Alliance Tournament 15. Our next match coming up is going to be Team Skill versus Spectre Fleet Alliance. And personally, I find this match quite a difficult one to predict. We've got Team Skill, who lost to the Ronin first round. Very strong team, as we've already seen thus far. And then they beat the Bastion, who is probably, all due respect to them, not the best team in the lineup thus far. But then equally, we've got Spectre Fleet Alliance. So Spectre Fleet Alliance did pretty well last year. Team Skill coming in with a fair amount of hype, especially from Moderator. They beat Blades of Grass, which again is a team that was in the tournament this year. And they lost to Brave Collective. Now, Brave have also shown themselves to be a fairly strong team this year. Maybe not quite as good as the Ronin, but we haven't really seen them face off yet. So that's still to be determined. So I find it quite difficult to gauge these two teams relative to each other and kind of how they're fitting in the bracket strength. Do you guys have any thoughts on either Team Skill or the Spectre Fleet Alliance? And whether you think they're going to be strong mid-tier teams, whether you're looking to get them towards the later weekends, or do you think they're going to drop out quite quickly?
Well, both these teams are quite interesting because they're both dark horse teams. They're teams that we didn't expect to see in the final weekend, but they're teams that we thought could maybe upset a few games. Like we thought maybe Team Skill could upset Ghost Legion. I think Team Skill has an advantage because Spectre Fleet have lost their flagship Armageddon. That's no longer available to them, whereas Team Skill still have their flagship Balgon on the field.
It's worth mentioning flagships because, excuse me, a lot of the top teams you will see refrain from using their flagship as long as possible. And I believe the strategy in that is that one of the key strengths of the flagship is not actually when the flagship is on field, even if it's, a Toby Webb Balgorn with all the newts and everything. It's the threat of the flagship. You cannot ban it out. Every comp you bring has to be able to deal with whatever flagship comp or flagship comps they have designed until it's dead. If you bring it, you risk losing it. So it's very much a ship that you bring when you really need to win the match for those who are trying to make it very, very deep, and use the threat to use banning and use metagaming and use mind games as we go through the tournament. Still, we have but a few moments before the next match coming up, so we'll hand it over to the casters for the match here between Team Skill and Spectre Fleet Alliance.
All right, guys, and welcome back. I'm Elise Randolph, joined by moderator. We've